While most of us are counting down the hours to midnight tonight, hockey fans are counting down the hours to the start of Blues training camp on January 4th. These Blues will have some new faces this year, but today they made sure they'd have another familiar one. The Blues agreed to terms on a new one-year contract for defenseman Vince Dunn for the 2021 season worth just under $2 million. Dunn was the only defenseman on the team to play in all 71 regular season games a season ago and notched 23 points. This looks to be one of the last moves by Doug Armstrong after an interesting offseason that saw the departure of some longtime veterans and the addition of some highly skilled, exciting players like Torrey Krug and Mike Hoffman to fill the void. Yesterday could have been an arrival moment for Mizzou basketball. After an impressive wins over teams like Oregon and Illinois, they had a chance to really put the basketball world on notice against 7th-ranked Tennessee. That didn't happen. The Tigers got blown out by the Vols 73-53 and were never really in the game. It was the first loss of the season for the veteran Tigers and gave them a taste of what the top of the SEC is going to dish out this year. But Coach Conzo Martin knows he has the right group of players to bounce back after a loss like last night's.
We'll watch film, and all he had to deal with as a coach is part of it. I think for ball players, they're resilient enough to the next game. And the great thing about league play, it turns around quick. So you don't have a lot of time to sulk about it. And, you know, some of the things we saw coming, and hopefully we can get these things corrected. And like I said before, league play, when you get to this point, your margin for error is slim.
Let's head to the Prep Hardwood today. Undefeated University City taking on SLU. This was a nail biter, folks. Pick things up in the second half. Barry Thomas to Brandon Ming on the fast break for U City. He stuffs it in. They're up 1 after 3. This is going to be Aaron Walker Jr. for SLU. Nice little baseline floater. This would come down to the very end, and it's Nick Witcher with the ball in his hands. And he comes through. A go-ahead three-pointer for SLU with 10 seconds left. U City tries a last-second shot of their own. It's no good, and SLU beats undefeated U City 40-39. If you saw our story last week, I told you there was a pretty good chance former Cardinal Scott Rowland would make a big jump on this year's Hall of Fame ballot. And that looks to be exactly what's happening so far. According to ballot tracker Ryan Thibodeau, through 100 public ballots released, Rowland is polling at an impressive 66%. Now he needs 75 to get in, which seems unlikely this year, but if this trend keeps up and it's still going strong, it's going to be a huge increase for the former St. Louis Slugger. And finally, make sure you tune in Sunday night after the late news. Sports Plus is back, and we have a loaded first show. You will definitely not want to miss it. That's it for sports. Kelly, back to you. That's right, Kelly. The Blues certainly gave us a lot to talk about this offseason. Captain Alex Pietrangelo went to Vegas, and his C was given to Ryan O'Reilly. Mainstays like Alex Steen and Jake Allen are gone, and exciting newcomers Torrey Krug and Mike Hoffman are in. But finally, in just a few days, they'll be back on the ice. Bring on 2021. The Blues had some news today, too. They've agreed to terms on a deal with restricted free agent defenseman Vince Dunn for 2021. He was really the last piece of the puzzle for Doug Armstrong heading into training camp. And speaking of camp, the Blues released their 40-man camp roster today as well. First-round pick from this past season, Jake Neighbors will be there, but top prospect Klim Kostin won't be, at least not right now. He's still playing in the KHL over in Russia. Kostin had 1 goal in 4 games played with the Blues last season. We know the Blues will be back on the ice before the SLU Billikens get back on the court. Yesterday, the team had to pause all basketball activities because of COVID cases within the program. So just how long could it be until we see the Bills back in action? Here's what AD Chris May had to say about the timeline.
We're going through contact tracing right now and going through all those processes, but it's probably a 2-week per city and university guidelines. It's probably a 2-week pause. And so, but right now our focus is immediate focus, get everything shut down, notify the A-10, work with the teams that we're supposed to play in the next week and a half or so.
So if it is a 2-week shutdown, the Billikens will be sidelined until January 13th. That's going to make them miss at least 4 conference games against Duquesne, UMass, LaSalle, and St. Joe's. Of course, adapting to the pandemic has become commonplace nowadays. The team is still hoping to get all of its A-10 games in if possible. Mizzou's still playing, but they didn't have any success last night against Tennessee. The 7th-ranked Volunteers blew out Missouri by 20 points, and it was never really close. It was the first loss of the season for the 12th-ranked Tigers, and now it's all about bouncing back against Arkansas on Saturday.
Now that It's in league play. We got another game in a couple of days. It's going to show what our team is made of, how we bounce back, and that's what great teams do. They bounce back after a loss.
And don't forget, with a new year, we're bringing back a classic. Sports Plus is back starting Sunday night after our late newscast. We've got a great show to kick it off. You won't want to miss it.